Oh, hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, depending on which part of this country that you're in. You're watching Rebel Roundup, our daily news and opinion show over here at Rebel News. I'm your host, Sheila Gunn Reid, and I am joined by my real life best friend, our Tuesday, Wednesday co host, Lise Merle from beautiful Regina, Saskatchewan. Lise, how's it going?
Well, hello, my beloved Sheila Gunn Reid, and hello, Canada. It is a wonderful day. It is where are we at? July 15th. We are
Yes,
officially one quarter through summer today.
one quarter through Pride season.
Yeah,
You
oh,
bigot.
or that, or that. I care not to mention that part, but summer is off to a fantastic start. Can't wait to continue on with our shenanigans. A couple months ago, Sheila Gunn Reid and I just decided that this was going to be the best summer of our lives, and so far,
Working on
it's
it.
it's planning out, just plans. So, no, it's great to be
Yep.
here, and we got a fantastic show lined up for you guys today. Whole bunch of juicy stories to talk about.
Yeah, it's funny to see the Conservatives get around to talking about something we first talked about here on Rebel News on the live stream. I think it might have even been during
Yes, ma'am.
a debate, maybe.
It was during the English debate and the days after, yes. And we are going to show you, Rebel viewers, how we were on this story first, picking it apart for you and showing you how the bouncing ball bounces.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and they say we're not journalists. But let me tell everybody how they can get involved in the show because I think it's important that we involve our viewers in the show and let them have their say, democratize the show, as I like to say, because without you, there's really no Rebel News. So, if you are watching us on the excellent free speech platform of Rumble, thank you so much for supporting them. They supported Rebel News when nobody else would. Um, you can leave a paid chat over there. It's called a Rumble Rant. If it's over the $5 US cutoff, then we'll read it on air. If it's under that, we usually do our best to make time. I don't know what the studio scheduling situation is like, but we do our best to make time for the chats that fall underneath that. And if you are watching us on YouTube, you may notice that we are remonetized over there after many, many years of wandering in the wilderness. They have remonetized us. It could be just a glitch in the software, but for now, let's take it and run with it. So if you want to support us over there, their paid chat is called the Super Chat. And again, the same rules apply, but there's also an additional way that you can support us over there. It's called a Super Thanks, and that's their paid comment. You can leave one of those if you are one of those people who couldn't catch the show live, but still feel moved to support the little network that could. Okay, I think that's all the stuff that we need to get out of the way. I'll tell you about also in a little bit, if you stick with us through the first segment of the show, I'll tell you how you can join us for our birthday party celebration, but I'll just tease that and then we'll talk about it in a second. Let's show this clip of Poilievre ripping into Mark Carney for making false statements about his purported conflicts of interests and finances. This is quite something because Mark Carney, uh, I'll say it, lied through his pointy
incisors.
incisors at us about his conflicts of interest.
On Friday, we finally got a look at the Prime Minister's many financial interests that he kept carefully hidden throughout the election and about which he told numerous falsehoods during that same campaign. And so these are what the revelations tell us. One, that Mr. Carney was not upfront or honest with Canadians during the election. He made numerous false statements he would have known were false when he made them. Two, there is a cornucopia of conflicts of interest in these investments, like we have never seen before from a Canadian Prime Minister. Let me go through and document all of these claims one by one. First of all, during the election campaign, Mr. Carney said, and I quote, "I own nothing but cash and personal real estate, and that's not going to change in public life." Well, it turns out while he said that, he knowingly owned 574 stocks and deferred profits and stock options in Brookfield and other companies. So it was patently and now provably false for him to say he owned nothing but cash and real estate. Two, my assets are now in a blind trust, so I don't know what exactly is in there. that too is false. He must have known what was in the blind trust because he was the one that filled out the paperwork for the Ethics Commissioner to report those holdings. So he knew exactly what was in his blind trust, and he just did not want Canadians to know before they went to the polls. Finally, he said, and I quote, "I do not have a connection with Brookfield Asset Management." Well, it turns out that he has continuing stock options and deferred share units in Brookfield Asset Management. And these options cannot be sold, or at least not easily, and we have no reason to believe they have been. So when he said that he had no connection to Brookfield, he was stating a patent falsehood. Now, why should we care? Why should Canadians care about this? Well, Mr. Carney has shown in the past his willingness to use his political connections in order to profit himself. For example, he said, let me see here, he gave public endorsement of Westinghouse in the leaders' debate. Westinghouse is a nuclear energy company which Brookfield is invested in. He has announced he's going to spend billions of dollars on modular homes. Brookfield is invested in modular homes. He says he wants to subsidize heat pumps. Brookfield is invested in heat pumps. He says that jet fuel, in the past he has said that he helped influence regulatory changes forcing aviation companies to buy certain kinds of jet fuel that one of his companies was invested in, so that air passengers have to pay more for their airline ticket to subsidize this specialty jet fuel that profits a company in which Mr. Carney had a financial interest. And the list of potential conflicts goes on and on. How can he possibly be involved in developing a budget when all the tax policies could impact on his investments directly or indirectly? How could he address things like competition policy when his companies might be impacted? Then there's, for example, the digital services tax. The digital services tax is paid by some of the companies that he is invested in, and therefore he has a potential or perceived conflict of interest in that as well. So Conservatives are calling for two things today. One, we call on the Prime Minister to come before you and explain the contradiction. How is it that he was telling Canadians that he only had real estate and cash when he knowingly had stock options and other deferred benefits? How is it that he claimed he didn't know it was in his blind trust when we now learn that he knew exactly what was in that trust? And how is it that he said that he had no financial interest in Brookfield when he knew exactly that he had stock options and deferred share units? Finally, so we want him to explain why he told Canadians the opposite of the truth during the election campaign. Second, we're calling on the Prime Minister to sell his investments, turn them into cash, hand them to a trustee who can invest them in a way that is completely blind to him, so that he does not have any knowledge of what he owns. That is the spirit of a blind trust. A blind trust is meant to be something that the owner does not know anything about. That's what it means to be blind of the assets. But right now, Mr. Carney is clearly not blind of what he holds, because even we know what he holds due to this disclosure. And this will put him in an impossible position where he will be conflicted at every turn. So either he will have to get up 3 or 4 times every cabinet meeting to avoid stumbling over the 100 plus potential conflicts that the Ethics Commissioner has identified, or he will act in the cabinet to potentially favor his own interests. Neither of those possibilities is acceptable. And so, again, we call for him to explain the falsehoods, sell his holdings, end the conflicts, work for Canadians. We need a Prime Minister whose only purpose is serving the Canadian people, to reverse the massive damage Liberals have done, to reverse the out-of-control immigration, inflation, crime, debt, and our spiraling economy. And here we are, a Prime Minister who's going to be constantly distracted by his private interests when the public interest is in such desperate need of attention. Look at how bad things are in Canada today, and getting worse. The debt is growing faster under Mark Carney than it was under Justin Trudeau. Mr. Carney is spending more in his first budget bill, for his first financial bill, spending more than Justin Trudeau was spending. The deficit looks like it could be even bigger under Carney than it was under Trudeau. We have rising unemployment, a crisis of jobs for our young people. Housing is still unaffordable, and Mr. Carney has so far kept the unsustainable immigration numbers that Justin Trudeau left behind. numbers that are overwhelming housing, healthcare, and jobs, that are dividing our country and breaking up any notion of integration. We need a Prime Minister who's fully focused on undoing the damage that the Liberals have done, not continuing that damage and focusing on his private interests. Conservatives stand ready to help. We will propose amendments to the ethics law that will make these changes that I have just called for, make them law rather than just good practice. We want this to be once again a country where the leaders work for the people, where hard work pays off, where government is on the side of everyday people who work hard, pay their taxes, and play by the rules.
You know what? I'd like to congratulate the Conservative Party of Canada for finally getting on these issues.
90 days late.
90 days. That it would have been real good if we could have focused on these issues during the election period, because it was on April 17th during the English leaders debate that Mark Carney divulged his interest in Westinghouse. He didn't do it elaborately or with any kind of
He said it as a throwaway comment. He just said, yeah.
Oh, it was such a moment, and he immediately deflected, and this is how I knew that he had misspoken in that moment.
Right.
So as soon as he said Westinghouse, and then quickly pivoted off to another topic, I went, what does he have? What kind of business interest does he have in Westinghouse? And this is how I unpicked this, Canada. I Googled Westinghouse Brookfield, and boop, up comes from the Cameco website on November 7th, 2023. P.S. Who was in charge of Brookfield on November 7th, 2023? Any guesses? Any guesses? It's Mark Carney. That's right. Cameco announced the closing of an acquisition with Westinghouse in partnership with Brookfield. Cameco beneficially owns a 49% interest in Westinghouse, and Brookfield beneficially owns a 51% interest.
Controlling interest.
Controlling, that's exactly right. Brookfield owns a controlling interest in Westinghouse. Now, Westinghouse might be a name that most people are familiar with from back in the day. They used to make, that's right, they used to make household appliances. Yeah. No more, you guys, no more, Canada. Westinghouse is in the nuclear business, okay? They built all of the components that go to building small nuclear reactors. This is especially pertinent for Saskatchewan because our Crown Corporation, Sask Power, is very, very interested in net zero. One of my buddies likes to say that Sask Power, the tail is wagging the dog at Sask Power. Okay, so there's a bunch of people at Sask Power who are doing some really, really dirty work on behalf of the Liberal Party of Canada and their net zero targets. And Cameco is a mining company with major interests in the Athabasca Basin and our uranium deposits. So here we have Brookfield, now an American company, Cameco, an American company, and Mark Carney at the top of Brookfield, who are exploiting Saskatchewan's natural resources and running down the nuclear chain when all of this technology is untested. Okay, there are no small nuclear reactors that work in the world. It's completely untested, and they're shoveling these ideas into Southeast Saskatchewan. We unpicked this here for you first on Rebel News on the live stream, Canada, and it's thank you for showing up, Conservative Party of Canada. Thank you for bringing this to the country's attention. It is so important.
Yeah, no, 90 days too late when it could have made a difference. Like when Mark Carney was telling us who he was the whole way.
The whole time.
Every time he mentioned an idea, all you had to do was say, how is this idea linked to the Brookfield? To the Brookfield octopus.
That's like, right.
How? And that's all they had to do. And nobody did it. Like if he mentioned modular housing, yep. How is Brookfield?
Modular housing, Brookfield, and it pops up, the end. Like it's all there. Everything he said was a breadcrumb to lead us to the truth. And we were trying to ring a bell on it with this Westinghouse /uranium /Cameco /Brookfield story. And it's great to see the Conservatives and Canada finally waking up to this. There's another part of this story that's intrinsically interesting. So Cameco is partnering with Saskatchewan First Nations to explore and develop our uranium resources in northern Saskatchewan. We have one of the world's largest uranium deposits in the Athabasca Basin in Saskatchewan, and we have to start asking a bunch of very serious questions about how and why the Liberal government is exploiting our natural resources for their benefit while also working with Brookfield and Westinghouse, two American companies. Why are we doing this? Why does that benefit the people of Saskatchewan? I would argue not.
It benefits Mark Carney's investments.
That's right.
We have the clip of him mentioning Westinghouse, and every time Mark Carney mentions a company or an idea, Google that plus Brookfield. Just do that, and you'll get a hit every single time. It's like during the election campaign when all these LGBT plus activist groups came out and made a statement about the Conservatives. I went to the Open Canada website and searched their grants. Because none of them do this stuff for free.
Right.
Okay, we've got this. Westinghouse was pushed by Carney, owned by Brookfield. This is it during the debate. He did it in front of all of us, just like a serial killer sending letters to the police.
We have big nuclear companies, including Westinghouse, CANDU, and others. We have...
Yeah, so that's it. He said it right there. Like when he, any company they mention, just go and Google it simultaneously with Brookfield.
He divulged it. He was at the top of Brookfield when they acquired Westinghouse with Cameco. He was at the top of Brookfield.
That's why Westinghouse was on the top of his mind. He knows about it.
That's exactly right. And we have to ask the question, how are his clean energy and green initiatives all linked together on this? Because if the federal government is sending money, is sending money to the First Nations of Saskatchewan to partner with these companies, well, then that cuts out the people of Saskatchewan. How exactly are we benefiting from this? How exactly are we benefiting from this? And you can't tell me that this isn't a clever ploy to placate the people of Southeast Saskatchewan who have made their living on coal and oil and gas for the last 150 years, and how this is going to push them out of the market, because it is. This is what's in the pipeline for the good people of Southeast Saskatchewan, and I would urge them great caution and to ask a bunch of really hard questions right now.
My cat has just made an appearance.
Oh, Triggy.
Triggy's here. This is Trigger. He's an orange cat, as you know.
He's got the orange cat energy.
Completely, and the orange cat 2 brain cells to rub together. But he's gone now. Okay, let's get into this next Poilievre clip, addressing the unfair treatment that Western Canada has been receiving, noting the issue as of personal importance to him. Yeah, better be. You're running in one of the most conservative ridings in the entire country. One of the most conservative places in North America is where he's running. So yeah, you better start talking about Western grievances at the very least.
Hello, Mr. Poilievre. Ellie Canton-Nantel with The Hub. During the campaign, I visited Western Canada and was honestly shocked with the level of frustration and alienation in Western Canada. You're currently running for Western Canadian seats. What do you have to say to people in the West who are so frustrated that they think that even if you were to become Prime Minister, given that you wouldn't be Prime Minister forever, it's better to just separate than to keep in Confederation because they just think Canada is so broken?
Well, I disagree with separation. I'm a Canadian patriot. I was born and raised in Calgary, Alberta, and I understand the frustration. I still think that there's no other country in the world where someone of my modest origins would be able to make it to this place, and that's the story that millions of people have lived and relived from across the country. So we are united by that Canadian promise. But as I say, and I say it here, and I've been saying for years, we have to put a final end to this notion that Ottawa tells Alberta to pay up and shut up. And that's what Albertans have been told by this Liberal government for a decade. Their frustrations are entirely legitimate. You know, Alberta is the #1 net contributor, per capita contributor to Confederation, paying more in tax than getting back in federal programs. The major resource, the major industry of Alberta has been under relentless attack for the last 10 years. The rural and Western way of life is under attack with ridiculous gun bans, all while allowing repeat offenders to go and terrorize communities, including rural communities where crime is now, for the first time in a generation, a serious danger. In communities where people didn't even have to lock their doors. So I say all of that to point out that the frustration is real and it is legitimate, and we should neither dismiss it nor deride the people who hold those frustrations. It's the job of all federal leaders and frankly all members of Parliament to redress the very unfair treatment that Western Canada has been receiving, and I pledge to do that. I understand it. For me, it's personal. I was born in '79. It was a few years later that Trudeau, hit us all with the big national energy program. My folks were teachers, so they didn't lose their jobs like so many others, but we got smashed with the 20% interest rates on mortgages like everyone else. And I grew up understanding that the federal government had viciously attacked the Alberta economy. And so one of the reasons I got into politics was to bring fairness to my province and to my region. And we'll continue to fight for that by repealing the anti-energy laws, unlocking free enterprise, shrinking the size of the federal government so more of Alberta's money stays in the hands of Albertans, getting rid of the dumb gun laws and instead locking up the real criminals. That's how we redress the very real and legitimate frustration of Albertans, and that's how we unite all Canadians. One last thing I would say is, let's build alliances. Albertans should build alliances with Newfoundlanders and Labradorians who want to develop their oil and gas. They want to develop, our Newfoundland and Labrador cousins want to double their production. We should support that. Let's develop alliances with coastal First Nations who want to liquefy and export Alberta's natural gas over to Asia to get $14 instead of $3 for it. Let's build alliances with Greater Toronto Area communities that want an end to catch and release, to lock up criminals, or to miners in Timmins who want to develop resources or who want to keep their hunting rifles. That's how you get things done. Build alliances to get good results that serve Albertans and all Canadians. Thank you.
Okay, well,
Yep.
I will. Yeah, okay, fine. I will relate to some of that. You know, what and I say this in our documentary, Ungovernable. My earliest memory, you know, you sort of remember things like age 3, 4-ish.
Yeah.
I don't know quite how old I was, but my earliest real memory, like, you know, you have like snippets of things that
Yeah.
but my earliest real memory is my parents sitting around the kitchen table worrying about money because my dad was in the oil patch. The NEP just hit. Interest rates were going up. They had financed some farm equipment, and my dad's job was gone, just gone. My mom had to go back to work, and we were little. And that's the National Energy Program. So I relate to what he's saying there about, you know, like he says, his family wasn't hard hit, but he knows that it was really bad. It was really, really bad.
It was an extraordinary time. One of my earliest memories too, Sheila, is much the same. My mom was a single mom. She had a government job. She didn't lose her job, but our mortgage payments increased by near double. And I
Yeah.
remember her being really concerned that she would have to turn the keys over to our house, to
Yeah.
the bank. And
They
that's what
call it-
happened. That's what happened during that time. Interest rates. Yep. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that there was a name for it. They called it jingle mail because the mail jingled because so many people were mailing their house keys back to the bank.
And just leaving, just abandoning their homes. And
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember that very, very clearly, and what a terrible time that was. Yeah.
But he talks and like, look, I get it. He's a federalist. He's running to lead the country. I get why he says, you know, like there are these grievances, but we can address them. And at least out of all the federal leaders right now, he's the one that acknowledges these grievances are real and bad.
Right.
That we have been mistreated. But he says stuff like we need to build alliances with other parts of the country. And I'm thinking, you mean free trade agreements? We could
Right.
do that. We could do that as a separate and distinct country if Albertans so choose. We don't need to remain in confederation to come up with alliances with the rest of the country.
I was thinking the exact same thing, and I'm so happy you said it because he also mentioned, Albertans feeling pretty downtrodden and abused by the federal government over the last decade. But I would argue that it's been a hell of a lot longer than the
100
last
years.
decade. That's exactly right. Yeah, no, Twisted Sister song, we're not going to take it as 40 years old. 40 years old this year, and that could be the theme song for Alberta and Saskatchewan and Canada's western provinces. Is that for at least 40 years we have been abused by our federal government to a point where we don't see a healthy or prosperous way forward with the federal government. I think that he did have some really good arguments.
Yeah, sure.
We need to build alliances with the eastern provinces. We need to address
Yep.
guns. We need to address crime and the way that our justice system works. But that just hardly even scratches the surface about what we need to have fixed. If we have a Senate that is so disproportionately Eastern based, we will never get any of these things solved if we don't completely reform our judiciary. We are
Yeah.
never ever going to get these things fixed. So unless we hear actual solutions out of the Conservative Party, like real solutions, like, okay, we're gonna abolish the Senate. We're gonna abolish the Senate.
Yeah.
If that's an
Or
option
elect
for
it.
them,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
exactly, and elect our justices. Make sure that
Or sheriff.
our law enforcement. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Unless we reform all of it, none of this will be solved, and we're all just kicking the can further down the field. But
Right.
yeah,
I really liked Ellie's question,
mm,
because he asked that question as someone from the outside who
right,
had come to visit us during the campaign. Ellie's great, over at the hub,
mm,
and he said Westerners know that even if you become prime minister, you will not be prime minister forever. So what happens to them then? How do you deal with those people who say, yeah, I'll vote conservative, but he's not going to be prime minister forever? And then we keep coming back to the same structural problems
that's right.
that give us 10 years of liberal corruption being awarded by 4 years with Mark Carney.
That's exactly right. How do we address the corruption within the mainstream media? How do we address the corruption within
Yeah.
our federal bureaucracy? How do we do this? This is up to the Conservatives to be able to clearly articulate to the people of Western Canada, and they're just starting. They're just starting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
We tried it their way. Like, we tried it their way in Alberta. We said, okay, well, you don't want to reform the Senate, so we'll send you elected senators and you kindly appoint them for us, out of respect for Albertans, and they didn't do it.
They didn't do that. No, they really didn't. So they overrule us every time we flex our autonomy, and we're done with it as Western Canadians. We're absolutely done with it.
Can I tell you, I'm glad
yeah.
he pointed out sorry to keep interrupting you, but I'm glad he pointed out the division that the gun ban is causing. Because I was drilling down on some of the ECOS data. They were paid like $100,000 by the Privy Council to poll gun owners about, well, basically it was a PSYOP. The gun blog breaks it down pretty well. They want to know why we won't comply with the bans, so that they can sort of go about the bans in a way that might appeal to us, as if we could possibly be brainwashed on this very basic issue of property rights and scapegoating the law abiding for the problems of the unlawful in Toronto.
Right.
And they run into a cultural divide, particularly in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Should come as no surprise to anybody there. 88% of Saskatchewanians, Saskies, said that they are unfairly targeted by Ottawa for the gun ban. They feel like they are being unfairly targeted.
Well, because they are.
It will be, yeah, it's reality. Two-thirds of Albertans, almost two-thirds, it is almost 60%, said that firearms are a part of our culture. It's part of our identity. So when we see that, it's not just about firearms rights. It's not just about us bearing the brunt of the criminality of Toronto and Vancouver and Montreal, who are using trafficked guns across a porous border to do their crimes. It's not even about that. It's about the cultural incompatibility of this gun grab. We say they are trying to take a piece of our culture and heritage from us, and they don't understand that.
Yep. And this is how especially Alberta and Saskatchewan are more like America than we are to
Completely.
Ottawa. Than we are to Ottawa.
Yeah.
We value personal property. We understand that there is a role for it in our society and in our culture, and we view any overreach by the federal government as it pertains to this as an infringement on our rights.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how the federal government tries to spin it or how the bureaucrats at the RCMP try and deliver the bad news that we're all criminals overnight because of their latest restricted weapons. But we're never ever going to see eye to eye on this. Never ever.
No, we can't. We're just too different. And it's okay to get a divorce when you're just different people.
Irreconcilable differences.
We got irreconcilable differences. Let's talk about our upcoming birthday bash.
Oh yeah.
Because without you, there is no Rebel News, dear Rebel News supporters. 10 years. You've been fighting alongside us. I know it's not easy to be an open and out there Rebel News supporter sometimes, especially if you work in government or bureaucracy, healthcare, education. It's not easy to be a rebel. I know it. But you have been fighting right there beside us. And many, many times our deaths have been predicted by the mainstream media, whatever controversy we end up embroiled in all of a sudden. Is this the end of Rebel News? Nope.
No.
Nope. Nope. Our eulogy
like a bad
was
weed.
Yeah,
like a bad weed. We just keep popping up.
You wrote our eulogy when we weren't dead yet. And in the meantime, the subsidized Carney contaminated media continues to see layoff after layoff after layoff, regardless of the handouts they get dished. We live on because of you. So we want to invite you to our birthday party. Isn't that great? Because it's as much our birthday party as it is yours. So we had our real on paper birthday back in February, but too much was happening, like an election, a leadership campaign. So we sort of set it aside and said, we'll get to it when the news is a little less hectic. Well, the news is always hectic. So we just had to pull the chute and plan a birthday party. It's September 18th, 6 p.m., Carriage House Hotel and Conference Center in Calgary. And we would not want to celebrate without you, all of you. And so it's live music, cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, meet and greet, photos with our journalists. Elise and I are going to dress like it's prom.
Yes. No, we're coming. Like we're coming in hot. The two of us, full glam. This is going to be the party that you guys don't want to miss. I mean, you had me at cocktails, Sheila Gunn-Reid. That's all I need to. That's all I need to show up at a really good party. And hors d'oeuvres. I mean, we're going fancy.
Live music. You know, I love live music.
Oh, it's going to be the best. Honest to God, you guys, it's going to be the best night of the year, and you do not want to miss this. So, if you're in the Calgary area, or if you want to make your way to the Calgary area to be there with us for this special evening, go to, what is the website, Sheila?
It's real easy. happybirthdayrebel.com.
happybirthdayrebel.com. Get your tickets. We would love to see you there. We'd love to take prom photos with you guys.
Oh, awkward prom photos.
Awkward. Only awkward prom photos. That I just can't even hardly wait for this. And all of your rebel favorites are going to be there, including yours truly. And Sheila truly, and it's just going to be a night to remember. Swear to God, like just get your tickets, and we will see you there.
Yep. Oh, I can't even wait. I'm already looking at. Well, we're just past prom season, so there are a lot of very sparkly, over the top dresses that are on clearance right now.
Yes, ma'am.
And so
I've been
already
looking. Have you been
looking
looking too? Me too.
Yeah.
Me too, girlfriend. No, this is going to be. It's just going to be so incredible, and I can't wait. And Calgary does know how to throw a party. Like,
oh yes.
Ooh, the last time we were in Calgary, we had a great gathering. We had a great gathering with our rebel are true rebel supporters, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic night. So this is just going to be that night, but on speed with
Yeah.
hors d'oeuvres and cocktails and
Oh,
prom dresses
right?
and
Yes.
awkward prom photos. So
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. So I hope to see you guys there. It's happybirthdayrebel.com. Now, one more event I want to tell you guys about also in September. And it asks, what is the West's place in Canada? So I don't want you to miss this year's Canada Strong and Free Networking Conference. It's in Calgary, September 5th and 6th. You know what? Make a week of it. Go to their thing, tootle around, go to Banff, go to Canmore, come back, come to our birthday party. You've got speakers such as author Tristan Hopper, Conrad Black, Premier Daniel Smith, Preston Manning, and early bird rates are available until August 4th. So these things kind of sell out relatively early. So don't wait around. So head on over to Canada Strong and Free .network is where you get your tickets. So Canada Strong and Free .network, and that's September 5th and 6th. I think that's it. Let's hit an ad break, and then we'll come back, and I want to talk. I know it's not on the list of things, but let's talk about everybody's ballots getting thrown out over at Elections Canada. And apparently this is the second election in a row where this has been a real serious problem.
Alberta powers Canada, but Ottawa keeps limiting our potential. The Alberta Next panel wants your ideas to strengthen our sovereignty within a united Canada. Help decide what's next for Alberta. Visit alberta.ca/next.
Gun bans make great distractions.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same
We
rhetoric.
will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of assault-style firearms.
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted. While criminals run wild under Liberal policy. But we are fighting back. By delaying and dismantling unjust legislation, by confronting policy at its source, like on the global stage at the United Nations, through our unmatched record of political lobbying and our Save Firearms program, actively saving firearms from government crushers in real time. And we're not done yet. Join us. Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
Canadians know the national anthem. They stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But not every Canadian knows their rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport will change that. It looks and feels like a Canadian passport, but contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a portable, easy-to-read format. The Freedom Passport. Order one for yourself and for all the freedom lovers that you love at freedompassport.ca.
All right, before we get into Carney and elbows down, let's get into this. It comes to us by way of Blacklocks, always, who broke the news. So I went poking around on Elections Canada's website, and this is what happened. 120,000 reasonable cities worth of mail-in ballots weren't counted in the last election. And again, you are told it's a conspiracy theory if you question election integrity or the competency of the people over at Elections Canada. And I did an X thread where I broke down, like, this is just the very recent stuff that we know about from them. So according to Elections Canada, 1,321,000 and change special ballots were issued in the April 28th federal election, but only 1.2 million were counted. That means 120,000 ballots vanished. That's about 1 in 10 just gone.
What are we doing over there at Elections Canada? And it begs to be mentioned that Elections Canada is one of these federal agencies that's seen their employment numbers skyrocket over the last couple of years. So it isn't that they don't have the people, because they've been hiring they've been hiring a disproportionate number of employees to work at Elections Canada, and yet
Right.
1 out of 10 ballots goes missing, or 1 out of 10 ballots doesn't get counted. What is going on at Elections Canada?
Yeah, and those are just the bulk numbers. That isn't a breakdown per riding, because some of those ridings were sickeningly close, and I detailed that. So the
Oh.
agency has already apologized for dumping 822 special ballots in Coquitlam, BC. So these were people who were in Coquitlam who cast a ballot for their ridings across the country. So these were to be distributed. These
Right.
were just gone because they weren't given in time. Even though the agency had, or a worker had them, they just didn't give them to the counter. So after the counting's done with these special ballots, they just, you don't use them.
Like somebody took the box home. Somebody took the box home or the
Yeah.
bag of mail and forgot to pass it
Yeah.
on. Like
So
that's
this is
what
where they were
happened
all
here,
supposed to
guys. Yeah.
go. And then,
Insane. So were any of those ridings, would it have been close enough to swing the outcome?
I don't know in any of those, but I do know that they mislabeled ballots in Terrebonne, Quebec, where the Liberals won by 1 vote.
Oh,
And now
that is insane.
Now they're investigating themselves.
Oh, we know what the outcome of that is going to be. Anything where the federal government is involved, where they investigate themselves, they find themselves innocent and forgivable.
This isn't new, because when you look back at the 2021 election, because they do, like, after the election, they do like a big, let's analyze it.
Audit.
I guess it's to sort of make them be useful in the interim periods. In the 2021 election, 123,000 ballots weren't mailed back in time. So they weren't mailed to Elections Canada to be counted from the, like, when you go to in advance voting. 90,000 came in late. So 123 weren't submitted at all. And this is not the problem of the electors. These are in the hands of Elections Canada workers, and they're not sent in for counting. And 90,000 did come in, but they came in late, so they weren't counted either.
Holy Hannah. You would think that Elections Canada would have that process down pat, that they would get in touch with Canada Post and say, what do we have to do to make sure that all of these ballots are shipped and received and counted in the appropriate time frame? You would think that they would have that all lined up before, but no.
Yeah, so that roughly amounts to 213,000 voters disenfranchised in this country.
Hannah, that's not nothing, you guys. That's near 250,000 people whose
Yeah.
votes weren't counted.
Yeah.
Holy Hannah.
And then, just now, we're getting around to fining people who illegally voted in the 2021 election. So yeah, it's 2025. So non-citizen voted in Edmonton. He admitted he knew he wasn't eligible. What do you get for that? $1,000. You know what I would like to see then? If your vote is improper and it's $1,000, then the people who screwed up and didn't do their jobs should be fined $1,000 for every single person they disenfranchised.
That's exactly right.
Right?
That is
now we know
there should be consequences to this unaccountability. Yes.
This is what we know a vote is worth. This is them telling us they know what a vote is worth. So let's make it worth that. Then it goes on.
There should be $225,000 being paid by Elections Canada employees for crapping the bed on this.
Yeah. Then we've got another guy in Richmond Hill, voted once by mail and once in person. So again, knows completely that what he's doing is, everybody knows you can't vote twice.
Right.
He voted once by mail, once in person. He was only fined $1,000. So that's like $500 in infraction. So like a speeding ticket's worth of stealing a vote. We're not even taking this stuff seriously.
So what we're saying is the penalties for voters who commit voter fraud is much, much, much greater than the actual Elections Canada bureaucracy that does 225,000 times worse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
disproportionate.
The problems don't end there. Elections Canada's chief electoral officer, Stéphane Perreault, he's the guy overseeing this mess. He met privately with the Liberals and the NDP and government bureaucrats back in January of 2024 about moving the fixed election date. He did. He was called to testify at the committee. This didn't get a lot of play at the time from anybody other than, I guess, me, because I watched these committee hearings and I clipped it. And it was to accommodate the pension qualifications of outgoing MPs. They did not meet with the Conservatives or the Bloc, which means this was a partisan meeting to fix the election.
Was it ever? Because we know that there were a great many Liberal and NDP MPs who would not have qualified, including Jagmeet Singh, who would not have qualified for their super rich, juicy pensions if the election date didn't get moved.
Yep.
And so I wonder what happened in those meetings. Did they look at the calendar and they'd be like, "Oh, Diwali falls
exactly
within
what
that."
happened. Exactly what happened.
So then they moved it to Easter. So then they
exactly
moved it
what
to
happened.
Easter.
Exactly what happened.
This is actually insane. Like election interference level insane, which is unlawful here in Canada, or it's supposed to be anyway, if we had a government that took these things seriously. But what, like the levels of corruption here are staggering. They're staggering.
He should be fired, Stéphane Perreault. But the Liberals are in power and we just reward corruption. But 28 Liberal and NDP MPs qualified for their pension because of that. And so I broke it all down. I said, let's summarize. For people who are telling you, you can't talk about election integrity in Canada. We have the best system in the world. We've got ballots lost for 2 elections in a row. Small cities worth of ballots lost. Ballots miscounted. Elections swung by 1 vote where ballots are miscounted. Illegal voting, double voting, and secret meetings with the chief electoral officer. Partisan secret meetings between the NDP and the Liberals and bureaucrats, but not the other parties, to move the election date. And apparently it's a conspiracy theory if I bring these things up.
What's a conspiracy theory if you even venture to think that this was an installed government? And here we have a government that it seems nobody wanted. Nobody wanted, who'd crapped the bed for so hard for 10 years that they were, the Conservatives had a 20-point lead, and then we have all of this being revealed. Whoa. Is this a government? Is this a government that was elected, or is this a government that was selected? We'll leave that to you, Canada, to tell us.
I mean, and with these many problems in a normal grown-up country, you would just redo the elections and you would run by-elections.
Right.
But this is Canada, and we reward corruption with more corruption. Yeah.
Just unforgivable. Unforgivable.
And so because of that, we got Mark Carney, who campaigned on elbows up, but now his elbows are down. As I said yesterday in the show, my MP Garnet Jennings describes it as the chicken dance: elbows up, elbows down, elbows up, elbows down. He says a trade deal with the U.S. without some tariffs is unlikely.
You don't say.
You don't say.
You don't say. So all of that big bluster, Canada's so tough, we got to take on the orange man, that didn't amount to anything? Is that what you're saying, Mark Carney? Because it sure sounds like that's what you're saying.
Yeah. He said, what is this? At the outset of this trade war, the White House estimated some 62% of Canadian exports were not compliant with the trade deal, the USMCA. Apparently I'm Canadian, so I have to say Canada, USMA, whatever. Some companies opted to pay very low duty rates rather than go along with the paperwork required for free access. Wow. What does that tell you about the level of paperwork involved, where you're just like, I'll pay the tariff?
Yeah.
A recent RBC report suggests compliance has improved since Trump slapped on tariffs, and most goods are sold into the U.S. tariff-free. Yeah, but he's basically saying, well, we're going to get a trade deal, but we're also going to have to pay tariffs, which is
we're going to get a trade deal.
Yeah,
we're going to get a trade deal, but we're going to get absolutely screwed. And sorry about elbows down, everybody. Even though I
Yeah.
said that we weren't going to get screwed and we were going to play tough and we were going to forge all these relationships with our European partners, and it wouldn't matter what America did because Canada was going to be looming large. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Not the case.
Yeah. And in the meantime, Carney continues to pursue deals with the Europeans, suck up to the Europeans instead of trying to mend fences with the Americans. He said he spoke to President Ursula von der Leyen.
Which is a villain's name if I have ever heard one. Like if I was going to write a children's book with a terrible, evil stepmother villain, I would call her Ursula von der Leyen. Okay? Yeah.
She wears a coat made of Dalmatian fur.
Yes, she
Completely.
does.
Right?
Half black hair, half white hair. Yes,
Right?
that is a villain.
Yes.
She's a villain. And here's Mark Carney telling us that he is waltzing into a trade partnership with a villain. Okay. And remember a couple of weeks ago when we were concerned about Mark Carney's propensity to refer to us as European. He said Canada is the most European, non-European nation. Well, here he is forging this relationship with the European Union, which hasn't worked out to the benefit of most of the countries that belong to the European Union.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Brexit happened.
That's right. That's exactly right. Britain backed out of the European Union because they realized that it was not an economic or societal or cultural benefit to Britain. That's what
Right.
happened.
Right. And so our country of, I guess, paternity, I would describe the British as that, said, yeah, we're not like them. But Mark Carney's saying, yeah, we're like them, but not those guys, which is crazy. Anyway, Ursula von der Leyen, she's the president of the EU Commission. And apparently we need to get cozier with them. And look, I'm not against pursuing trade deals, but could we put this much effort into mending fences with the Americans, please? It seems like every time I turn around, Mark Carney's on a call with the Europeans. He's going to Europe. He's talking about how we're so European. And he's doing it as like dust in the eye of the Americans.
Yeah.
It seems so stupid when the Canadian economy is at stake and the Americans are like right there.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a deal with them. They're a bigger economy.
Mark Carney's way is not to address the issues that his party and his government created.
Passive aggressive.
It's just the worst. Like it's just the worst. He would rather avert eye contact with the United States of America and plug his ears and say la 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 and pretend like they don't exist when in reality they are our biggest trading partner. They are the closest to us in terms of culture and society and the kind of resources that we both need. And yet he would rather do business with the European Union. I mean, just ask yourselves, Canada, how much of a carbon footprint do you think it will create for Canada to do business with Europe versus the United States? Like how much bigger a carbon footprint?
If you care about those sorts of things, then the Liberals won't shut up about it.
That's exactly right. Like the hypocrisy here is just staggering. And Mark Carney is showing us who he is over and over and over.
Do you want to talk hypocrisy?
Yeah.
I mentioned it on the show yesterday, but I feel like you'll enjoy this. And if you watched the show yesterday, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself. But it really burns me that the Liberals were like, you can't vacation in America because you need to stay home and spend your money in Canada. Excuse me. My making fun of the Liberals' voice caused a scratch in my throat. Pardon me. But remember that they're like, yeah, do a staycation, enjoy your Canada pass or whatever it is that's causing all the people to litter up our national parks. Mark Carney went to Europe for his summer vacation.
Of course
we
he did.
predicted it. He was at Wimbledon.
Oh, is that where he went?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's real. That's a great little
We
photo
called
op.
it.
We
These
did so.
passive-aggressive, lying liberal men.
Yep.
They're so predictable.
Yep. We knew that he wasn't in a campground. We knew that much for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
here he is at the aristocratic photo op of the year in London, in the middle of London. This is where the highest real estate values in the entire country of England is, right in Wimbledon proper. Look at, oh, how nice for them. Get to cozy on up to their fancy elitist friends and make some backdoor deals. So good for them. So
Our European elitist overlords. I tell you, they're not eating bugs at Wimbledon.
No,
That's
they're
for
not.
sure.
No, they're not.
Well, everybody, thank you for bearing with me during my coughing fit there. Is she wearing a mask at Wimbledon outdoors?
No. No.
I don't know when this picture was taken, but there's never an excuse to wear a mask outside. Whatever your fears of COVID were, you're outside.
Yeah. You're in the nature.
Right. What is she scared of? Getting cooties from her husband who's standing right beside her?
Well, there might be some unclean people around, and if you are that type of woman, you don't tolerate that, not at all.
Well, and who knows? I mean, this is a woman who's at least acquaintances with Ghislaine Maxwell in that circle. So maybe there are cooties. Maybe there are cooties about.
Oh, don't get me started on Jeffrey Epstein. Don't even get me started, Sheila. I am invested in this story. Like,
I'm in deep too.
Yeah.
I think our viewers are too, but it would have to be a 2-hour show just on.
You know what? We might have to do that. We might have to do a Jeffrey Epstein.
I will just turn into like a big thing of Post-it notes of my theories behind me.
You know that meme with the guy with the strings going to all of
That'll be me, but it'll be like yellow Post-it notes, green Post-it notes, pink Post-it notes.
I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to that at all. Let us know, Rebel viewers, if you want a deep dive into the Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Mark Carney, elite sex trafficking and pedophilia story, because I'm totally into it. And I know one of our other friends is into it too, and that would be really fun viewing.
I know. I am bordering on Dateline NBC binder. Like creating one of those where it's the list of suspects, what happens, who you can accuse if something happens to me because of how much I've been talking. I need photos of you looking listful and sad because I've disappeared. I need you to just stare out a window.
Oh, I'll be there. I'll be there with my dry martini. Going, she lit up a room. And when her feet hit the floor in the morning, the devil went, "Oh God. Oh God." Yeah, no, that's my job as your bestie. It's my job as your bestie.
Tell them I fed the world. Okay. Let's get into more Carney scandals. Before joining cabinet, Public Safety Minister Gary Nandasangari, who was previously a lawyer for Tamil terrorists, wrote immigration support letters for Tamil terrorists. And so now he has to recuse himself from the South Asian terrorist file. Can you imagine? And he's our public safety minister. Resignation should have happened already here, but it's not like Carney didn't know about Gary Nandasangari's history before he joined cabinet.
It's pretty well documented.
The Sri Lankan Foreign Ministry wrote a statement about him years ago.
Gary Nandasangari was born in Jaffna, Sri Lanka in 1973 and is the son of V. Nandasangari, a leading Sri Lankan Tamil politician. So this guy he's got a pedigree that comes from these terrorist operations, it sounds like. His parents separated in 1980, and he and his mother moved to Ireland. So this is Gary Nandasangari's pedigree, going back to his birth in 1973, and now he can't work on the file that keeps track of terrorists in Canada. Why has he not been fired?
Well, I'll tell you why. It's the same reason Gary Nandasangari is the MP there and not Dan McTague, because Gary Nandasangari raised a lot of money during his nomination many, many years ago from the Tamil community.
Right.
This is
who would have
foreign interference. Yeah.
Yep. Who would have relationships going back to Sri Lanka, going back to the 70s when his dad was a politician. So you see how this is imported into Canada, and you see how this would interfere in our electoral process, Canada. You see, you're following the bouncing ball. This is how it's done, and he did it. And
this is at the end of the day, this is Liberals playing the ethnic voting bloc plus the ethnic fundraising bloc. And because of this, they're turning a blind eye to the fact that we have a public safety minister who, the guy who's in charge of dealing with terrorism, can't comment or work on any file related to one of the largest South Asian terror groups in the world. Why won't he resign? Because the Liberals love that Tamil money.
That's right. He can't. He can't because he's too valuable. He's too valuable economically to the Liberal Party of Canada. You see how this corruption takes hold? It's actually staggering. It's staggering. This guy should not have a role in government at all. He should be put on a watch list, and yet he's our Minister of Public Safety.
I bet he is on a watch list in Sri Lanka because the Sri Lankan Foreign Affairs Ministry put out a statement when Gary Ananda Sangri won his nomination, I think 2013, 2014, and they said, look out, watch out, this is how it happened at the nomination level. It was very hand-dongy at the nomination level, if you know what I'm getting at, and it was on the radar of the Sri Lankans back then. His nomination should not have been signed by Justin Trudeau, just like hand-dongs probably should not have been signed. But it was because once you can bring a lot of money into the party, that's all that matters, even more so than the public safety of Canadians. So here we are. Crazy.
It's fine.
Crazy.
It's fine. Everything is fine. This is fine. Everything's fine.
Could you imagine having a public safety minister who had been a lawyer for Al Qaeda and then could not work on Al Qaeda files? Would we be okay with that? You know what? Maybe. I don't know. I didn't think based on the last election. I don't know.
I wasn't going to answer it because I was like, no, that would fly here.
Yeah, my rhetoricals don't make sense anymore in 2025 Canada.
But this is what it feels like to live in an upside down world. Like, we live in an upside down country where nothing makes sense. And this is what it sounds and feels like, just right here, Canada. Yeah. Right here.
I say something thinking, oh, this is an outlandish example. Everyone will understand. I'm like, no, wait, that's completely doable.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great example of what it's like to live in Canada right now. We're here in the upside down world with you.
This is a real upside down story from Jamie Sarkanak over at the National Post.
I adore her.
Great ones over there.
I just adore her. Yeah.
She has actually her tweet thread on this is very, very good. I'm just going to dig it up. But a non-citizen who thought that he was propositioning a 15-year-old, imagine, he thought he was propositioning a 15-year-old for prostitution, was given a conditional discharge to help him stay in Canada. So these non-citizens now are getting lighter sentences than Canadians.
So it doesn't impact their immigration application. You heard that right, Canada. You heard that right. By the way, this man is married, has a wife that he wants to bring to Canada, convicted of soliciting a 15-year-old, and he was given a lighter sentence so that he may stay in the country and that he can bring his wife over to Canada.
This is I'll just go through Jamie's thread on this.
Yeah.
Akash Kumar Kant, an engineer from India. We've got engineers. You can go back home. We have engineers. We have good engineering schools. You can go back home. We don't need you.
Yeah.
Tried to buy sex from what he thought was a 15-year-old in Mississauga. He was given a conditional sentence or a conditional discharge, so not even a criminal record.
Holy Hannah.
Again, if you're somebody who got in a bar fight at 18, you have a criminal record, but this guy doesn't. in part because the judge didn't want to disrupt his immigration prospects. These are people we don't want in Canada, and the judge is making it easier for him to stay. She goes on. Kant was charged with soliciting sex from a minor, but pleaded guilty to the lesser offense of an indecent act. Should never have been able to plead down. That, combined with his and his wife's immigration status and the judge's positive assessment of his rehabilitation potential, all helped him out here. We should have zero tolerance for outsiders who do stuff like this. Our priority should be Canadian minors. Yes, thank you very much. Not the men who would victimize them. It's unfair to punish actual Canadians more harshly for the same crime. Yeah, exactly right.
So if you're looking for an example of why we need judicial reform in this country, this is exactly why. This is exactly why. If we elected our justices and our court officials, and they were able to make decisions that would benefit Canadians without being under the thumb of the federal government, because so often these justices, their hands are tied. They must abide by the rules that the federal government sets for them. But I mean, this is patent insanity that we would be defending and trying to keep this guy.
Right. He should be on, like, you know what? You're charged. We have enough evidence to charge you. Get out.
That's right.
Just get out. Get now. But instead, they're rigging the system so that he can stay. That's bonkers. At least he didn't honk his horn in Ottawa.
Yeah. Yeah, if only they had charged him with mischief.
Right. It's crazy. And further to our problems in the justice system, or rather the legal system, because there's very little justice in it. Father speaks out after son critically injured in a crash allegedly involving 5-time impaired driver. He was out on bail while he did it.
This is why I support three strikes and you're out laws. This is the exact kind of story why we should have 3 strikes and you're out. If you don't learn your lesson the first or second time, okay, you make that third mistake, let alone 5. Okay, you should be thrown in a cell and the key should be thrown away. And that's the end of you for polite society. But this poor family is suffering. Really, the worst thing that could befall a family is the tragic physical impairment of a child. They're going to have lifelong issues because of this 5th accident of this guy, and their needs are going to be ignored by Canada's system. Their needs and their wants and what they want to, their victims' rights have been already eroded and eviscerated. There is no way for them to have a say in what happens to this guy that should be thrown in jail for the rest of his life.
These are the facts. Peel Regional Police said the accused, 58-year-old Kushal Kasaram of Mississauga, was released on bail on the condition that he was not to drive a motor vehicle. At the time of the crash on July 5th, police said he had 5 previous impaired driving convictions. These are convictions.
So this is the 6th one.
Yeah. Dating back to 2010, and was on 3 separate lifetime driving bans.
Oh my God.
Arshad said he couldn't believe Kasaram was released on bail. He said what happened to his son was terrible enough, but when he learned about the bail, he felt it added insult to injury because Kasaram most likely shouldn't have been on the road. Yeah, no kidding. 3 lifetime bans on driving. Why don't you make it? Give him 10. What does it matter?
That's right. That's right. No, this is a recidivist that has obviously not taken any steps to reform himself. And so why is he out of jail? Why is he endangering the public in Canada? How is this being allowed? And so now you have this poor family in crisis and accumulating trauma by the truckload because we couldn't take care of this idiot one of the first 5 times.
Yeah. Yeah. This guy's out faster than this kid will be assessed for his injuries.
In our healthcare system. Right. So. And that's another layer of abuse heaped on all of these abuses, is this family is now having to seek out care for a child that was irreparably harmed by this recidivist. I mean, what options do they have? It's just
It's
awful. Anyway,
it's a
our
nightmare.
thoughts and prayers to that family, and that victim makes the full and complete recovery.
Yeah. And nothing changes till the government does, you know?
Mhm.
That's the worst part of all of it. Um, we've got some good news out of Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, following Alberta on this issue, and I couldn't be more pleased to see it. In Alberta, we have involuntary treatment for your maniacal drug addicts in your community. We'll round you up. We'll catch you with the butterfly net. We will help the families get out from under the terror of having a drug addict in and around them, in hopes that that drug addict will get clean and become once again a productive member of society and return to their families. Because behind every one of these maniacal drug goblins is a family who was first victimized by the maniacal
Mhm.
drug goblin. They have children they've left behind, and a neighborhood that they've robbed blind.
Yep,
And there, that doesn't stop until the addiction stops. And there's only
that's
one way
right.
out of addiction: death or stopping the getting clean, right? And
Mhm.
so the government, other governments, not ours, approach to this has been, oh, we'll just give you more drugs. Okay, so then death is the option. Like
Mhm.
that's the choose your own path. Okay, we're killing them now, just slowly.
Mhm.
But we'll kill them. And Alberta has said no. There's a more dignified way of returning people to society, and they deserve us to do the hard stuff
Yeah,
for them if they can't do it for themselves, right? Because giving an addict drugs is actually the easy thing to do, because then you're not dealing with their like uh, pleading and their violence or whatever, their threats, their manipulation. Just give them the drugs and hopefully they go away to die. That's actually
that's right.
that's the easy way out.
Yeah,
We're willing to do the hard things because maybe the drug addict doesn't see it, but their families need it.
that's
Even if you
right.
don't care about the addict, care about their families, their kids, whatever. And Saskatchewan has said, you know, maybe we should do that too. And I hope you
Yeah,
do. I really
yeah.
hope you do. Our overdose deaths have plummeted in Alberta.
Yeah, and Saskatchewan has been making some pretty heavy moves, some
I'm
pretty quick
glad
and
to
heavy
see it.
moves as it pertains to this. Couple years ago, a government in Saskatchewan announced a referral system where a person who was suffering from addiction or a loved one could refer them for treatment. Now we are looking at enforced treatment, which is absolutely necessary to take a drive around Saskatchewan's urban
Yeah.
centers, which 10 years ago did not have this problem. Repeat,
Yep.
did not have this problem. It was, I mean, you were hard pressed to come to Saskatchewan and see a homeless person on the street 10 years ago.
Right.
And now it is, I mean, they're just flop camps all over every major urban center. Not even major urban centers. We're talking minor urban centers. Little cities like Estevan and
Right.
Melville and Humboldt, Saskatchewan have these issues. And so the government of Saskatchewan is listening to families saying, we need your help, because there's only so much a family can do
Right.
before cutting off all contact to preserve the family and preserve the peace and preserve the
100%.
prosperity of the family. They are listening to families that say, we need a stronger hand in this. When
Yep.
we refer our loved one who is in the throes of an addiction, we actually need you to come pick them up and throw them into treatment for 60 or 90 days to get them
Whatever it
clean and get them on
takes.
the
Yeah.
road to recovery. That's right. And the government of Saskatchewan is listening. So well done, government of Saskatchewan. More of this decisive action. More of this decisive action. And this gives me hope, because if they're willing to do this for addictions in healthcare, they should be willing to fix some of the problems in some of the other major ministries, notably education.
Yeah. Yeah. It requires bravery, but in Alberta, we call this compassionate care. Because it
It is
is.
compassionate
It
care.
is.
Yes, it is.
It is not compassionate to allow people to slowly kill themselves with addiction and homelessness, to
To
have them
to
sleep in a rough. It's not compassionate to their families either
to
to allow
overdose
that.
to overdose alone on the street. There is nothing
Yeah.
compassionate about that. And that's the BC model. I mean,
Yep.
walk the streets of BC and you'll see it for yourself. It is staggering what's happened there. And so I'm so proud of Saskatchewan and Alberta for
Me
taking
too.
a more human-centered approach to this. Because at the heart of this, every addict is a human. Every addict has the ability to recover and to keep living their lives and to stay clean. And that's what we want to see for them, every single one.
Yep. And before everybody sends me letters, the way you always do, saying I'm too harsh on this issue, anybody who knows me knows exactly why I'm harsh on this issue. So I just think that there's a better way forward. And if not for the addict, then for their innocent families.
Yep.
They deserve something better. Okay. Ostrich news. My brother-in-law will be very happy to hear the update on the ostrich news. They were in court this morning. I haven't looked at the ostrich news, so we're going to look at this together because I was a very busy morning. I had to film the gun show, which is my Wednesday paywall show. Usually I film it on Tuesday morning. Then I did an entire wrote a video and filmed a video and then jumped on the live stream for 11. So it's a very, as David Menzies and I always say, it was a very packed pierogi of a day on Tuesday. So I didn't see this. We're learning this together. The ostrich farm. When I'm out in the world, people ask me, any update about the ostriches? I'm like, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. But yes, I would love to tell you more about Drea's work. The ostriches in BC, perfectly healthy BC ostriches used in medical research. They use their eggs. They're not experimenting on the ostriches. They're using their eggs for medical research, including COVID and the bird flu. They tested positive a while ago, but then one or two, I think, tested positive, but now they're all clear months later. And yet the Canadian Food Inspection Agency is hell-bent on killing these birds for some reason.
It's wild.
I have my speculation.
I do too.
They're in the Court of Appeal today. These birds are in Edgewood, BC, by the way. And Drea has been covering the court hearing. They got a stay of execution, as she calls it. And now they're before the Federal Court of Appeal. And she's covering the court case remotely. 400 healthy ostriches. It's about the future of farming, food, and property rights in Canada. And maybe you don't care about ostriches because, look, I've let my opinion be known about ostriches. I think they are horrible creatures, but somebody loves them.
Feathered dinosaurs, rude feathered dinosaurs. But why this is important, why the ostriches are important is because they're livestock. And if they can do this to a little ostrich farmer in Edgewood, BC, they can do this to any beef producer. They can do this to any pork producer, any chicken farmer, any egg producer. This is why it's so important that the ostriches not be culled by the government for no reason, because if they let that happen, it sets precedence for every other agricultural livestock producer in the country. So,
right. And especially when you have the likes of the pandemic bill that thankfully died when Parliament was prorogued. That bill targeted animal agriculture as the source of a pandemic. And so that they would come down and shut down your farm, your abattoir, which would drive up the cost of food for everybody involved and severely damage Canadian family farms. It's a real concern. You cannot let this stand. And look, those animals are awful to look at. They look evil. But
I just love them.
Those are my personal opinions about ostriches. But it doesn't matter because that's a farm, and the government should not be, without evidence, arbitrarily exterminating 400.
That's right.
Of somebody else's animals. So
that's right.
And RFK has gotten involved. Dr. Oz said that he would take them to his farm.
Right, his ranch. I will take your ostriches, no problem. Send your ostriches to America. We'll take them.
But the thing is, the farm declined because it's not just about saving their birds. It's about saving everybody else's animals from government overreach.
Yeah.
Also.
Yes.
So, they decided that their birds would be the hill that they die on. And if you want to follow along, Drea is going through each side has 2 hours to make their arguments. I think they might even be wrapping up very quickly. And I don't know if we'll have a decision today.
Probably not. Just the way, the wheels of justice turn slow.
Yeah.
But to have record of this, like, well done, Drea.
Yeah.
Well done, Drea
She's
Humphrey.
continuing to go. She had a broken thread there. She's got, oh my God, this poor girl. Like you know what? It is exhausting to live tweet court. It is exhausting because you're typing and you have to be perfectly accurate. You don't want to get a single thing wrong. You're translating from legalese to regular people speak, which
Right.
can be difficult. And you are listening, typing, and then listening for the next thing while you're typing and trying to remember that perfectly accurately in your mind. And you don't know what's important. So you're trying to weed through what's important. It is intellectually just exhausting to get through this. And she is like some 60 plus tweets in.
Well, she loves those ostriches, and it shows.
Yeah. She panel judge, you are saying there's a conflict and that council would be motivated not to just okay. Anyways, all that is to say, stay tuned. Drea will have a full report on our rebelnews.com website. You can find all of her live tweets there. You can find them also on her X page, and she'll do her best to digest the information and see what comes out of today. It looks like the hearing's still ongoing.
Yeah, and we'll have more on this tomorrow.
Yes,
because then the hearing will be able to review it and sort of distill what happened for you. So we'll be talking about this tomorrow.
Yeah,
ostriches, our ostriches.
Yeah, they are still ongoing. So her last tweet was 6 minutes ago on this. So it's still, she's just furiously doing her best to keep up with what's happening in court. And it's important to her. Yeah, she is emotionally and spiritually invested in the ostriches. She likes to put up these photos of her talking about the ostriches. Like she'll do a video of her talking about, and she uses like cutouts of the ostrich's face. She loves them ostriches, and someone's got to.
That's right. I just love I for one, I love them Sheila Gunn Reid. I mean, would I get in a pen with one? Nope. But I could love them from the other side of the gate. And I do. I really want the best for those ostriches.
Love what they symbolize. That's, they symbolize freedom and the fight against government overreach into agriculture, which is something I care deeply about. I just wish the avatars of this weren't ostriches. That's all.
You just don't want to be terrified by the feathered dinosaurs every time I look.
They're growing on me. I'll admit that. They are growing on me. I don't find them as hideous and frightening as I did before. Daily Cringe is from you. Set it up, please.
Okay, everybody. You must have heard the name Chip and Joanna Gaines or Magnolia Home. These are two American personalities who made a big name for themselves in the town of Waco, Texas. This couple, a Christian couple with many, many children, have single-handedly rehabbed the name of Waco, Texas, which was known for something else before they came along.
For government overreach again.
That's right. David Koresh and the Branch Davidians back in the 1990s. That happened at Waco, Texas. Waco, Texas was then branded as this sort of outpost for years and years until Chip and Joanna Gaines come along. So about a dozen years ago, they popped up on everybody's radar. Joanna is a beautiful designer. Chip is the handyman husband. They are biracial couple, and they have received great success on HGTV kind of shows. Well, Chip and Joanna Gaines have stirred the pot real good after they launched a show called, what is the show called? The Pioneers or Frontier, Living on the Frontier. When they took 3 families, stripped them down of all of their modern conveniences, and make these 3 families as part of this reality show live as if they're living in 1881. And
this has been done many times by PBS, by the way. This is not anything new.
Right. This is not a new show concept, but it's new to Chip and Joanna Gaines,
right?
Who definitely have a very we'll say conservative following. Anyway,
and you know what? They earned that conservative following because they were openly Christian. They went to a church that believed in traditional marriage. They took a lot of heat for being part of a church that believed in traditional marriage. And so for a lot of loyal Christian followers who defended them for a long time, Chip and Joanna were a safe place in the culture where you could watch stuff without having the culture wars jammed down your throat. It was
That's
wholesome.
That's it. It was wholesome. It was beautiful to look at. They're a beautiful family. There was absolutely nothing offensive about Chip and Joanna Gaines. Well, that the day has come where Chip and Joanna Gaines sell out to the woke stream media, and as part of their newest show, introduced a gay couple, okay, a gay married couple with their 2 adopted sons as part of the lineup. So here's a little clip. Are we going to watch it? Are we going to be able to watch it?
Arriving next for the ultimate digital detox.
Oh, look at this.
You guys ready? Yep.
Our Dallas-based dads, the Hannah Riggs.
All of your tech here, phones, devices.
Okay, what's first? No more work, no more emails, no more pings, no more bings everywhere we go. Are you guys ready to get rid of these devices?
No.
Alexa, good morning. I'm Jason Hanna. My name is Joe Riggs. We have our twin boys, Ethan and Lucas, that are 10 years old.
Are those store-bought babies?
Well, they're somehow bought babies. Either they're adopted or they were born from a surrogate.
I don't think you're adopting twins.
Or they were born from a surrogate, which is
I bet you these are store-bought from a surrogate.
Yeah, that's renting.
Repulsive.
That's rent-a-womb. Yeah, that's rent-a-womb situation.
That's the real Handmaid's Tale. You know, the women on the left, they need to read a new book. Because for the longest time, they were reading Harry Potter or whatever, and then they decided that they didn't like J.K. Rowling. Fine, whatever. So then they all started to migrate over to The Handmaid's Tale, and then everything they saw was The Handmaid's Tale, and they cosplayed it. But they're remarkably silent on the rent-a-womb nonsense of
surrogacy.
the commodification of surrogacy.
Yeah, you bet. And I don't want to bring it up, but why is it always boys? Why is it always gay men end up with boys? Well, because during the IVF cycle, where you are renting a womb and renting eggs to fertilize from a donor, an egg donor, you get to pick the sex of the babies that are eventually born. And that's why we see gay men with boys always, gay dads with boys always, because they chose them. Anyhow, Chip and Joanna Gaines are receiving some absolutely deserved feedback on this choice for their Christian frontier show, simply because if we are taking people back to 1881, guess how many gay dad couples with surrogate sons there were in 1881? 0.
Right.
There were 0. And this is an abandonment of Chip and Joanna Gaines' conservative Christian branding, and I believe that this is going to negatively impact them on a humongous scale. Chip and Joanna Gaines are about to get a taste of what it's like to be canceled by the people that created them.
They're going to get Bud Lighted.
Yes, they are.
Because it's so insincere. Because now your options are, were you lying then when all of their conservative fan base defended them?
Yep.
Or are you lying now to be liked by people who will never like you?
That's right.
You get to pick which liar you are, but you are a liar now. And no matter where you fell down on this issue, it's the insincerity of it that really drives people on both sides of this issue mad.
Yeah, and to be completely honest, I for one am so sick of the gay in every single show that is on Netflix, on Crave, on Prime, on whatever. If they're, you just get into a show, you watch the first episode and it's really good and you're like, oh, I like this. And the second episode, boom, there it is. There's the gay storyline that's going to pop. And I'm just tired of it all. It doesn't need to be in every show. It doesn't need to be represented, a tiny segment of the population doesn't need to be represented in every show. And I think that this attempt at placating the woke viewers is going to backfire on them spectacularly and good.
Yeah.
I'm done with you, Joanna Gaines, and your, what was it? She did the vertical interior paneling in homes, like the horizontal panel.
Shiplap.
We're done with shiplap, okay? We're done. This
This
is
is
it.
not shiplap. These are pieces of, I guess they're 1x4s
Like pressure
that are,
treated wood. Yeah.
yeah, it's for pipe tubs, like moving drilling pipe. This is the stuff that they stack in between the
Is
pipe.
it?
Yeah, and so
So
it
it
was
has a
just in the
purpose.
yard. I'm recycling, okay?
I just found my stuff that I decorated my office with in the yard. Yeah, of course you did. No, she did the
Quite
white
literally.
shiplap. Joanna
I
Gates was responsible for the white shiplap
Right.
infatuation
You know
of
what? She
urban
should be
mommies.
canceled for that. You know what?
Yeah.
No one should have defended her after that
No,
at
no.
all.
So anyway, yes, Chip and Joanna Gaines, it's been a slice. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, but we're probably done with you now.
What should I call this? Rig lap?
Yes.
Rig lap.
Rig lap. Yeah. Let's make it a thing, Sheila Gunreed.
Rig lap. Okay, we've got a fair bit of chats to get through, and then we should wrap up
Mm.
because we are at 12:30 Mountain. Cicely Bardwell gives us $10. Well, thank you so much. For every hardworking farmer and oil field worker in my province, Alberta and Saskatchewan. Well, thank you
Oh,
very
thanks,
much.
Cicely. Yes, we love our farmers and oil field workers.
Yeah, it's funny. My family's both. Annalisa S, $13.99. Now, Annalisa is
Oh, I love this. Yeah.
intermittent regular viewer of the show, although she much prefers David Menzies to me and Elise. She is the, I think, president, possibly treasurer also of the David Menzies fan club.
Yes, she is.
And she likes to send money to make me say stuff that makes me feel uncomfortable. Weird.
I love it. I love it so much. Do you want me to read it? Do you want me to read it so then you don't feel uncomfortable?
No, I think this is why Annalisa sends it. So
Okay, go ahead.
You know what? $13.99. Annalisa S says, I miss not watching the live shows, but I watch after work. Well, thank you so much. Anyway, love you ladies bunches, but Sheila, nothing can top my sweet Menzies. Please send him a big hug and a kiss on the cheek.
Adorable. I also love David Menzies. He's one of my favorite humans. Like his energy is just infectious, and you can't catch him on being clever. And I just love him. I agree with you.
He's a labradoodle of a man.
100%.
Yeah. He's a delight, but
yeah.
Anyway, Fred Law gives us $10 and says, thank you, Rebel News, for telling the truth.
You're welcome, Fred. It's our pleasure. Thanks so much for watching.
Cuba Bound gives us $5 and tells me to hit Carney's vacation with an access to information filing. And I am gonna.
I love that. Yes, great idea.
I'm writing it down. A tip. I need the Challenger records. I want the food records. Yeah. Everything.
Oh, yeah, because those food records and those transport records are always more staggering than you could even think possible.
I forgot what it was. It was like $300,000 on like one of Trudeau's just a food junket bill.
For food. You could buy a house in Saskatchewan for less than Justin Trudeau spent on food for a 10-day vacation, and that's a fact.
Yeah, and they drank so much booze they had to stop and fill up the booze. Not just brought more booze on.
Isn't that insane?
It explains a whole bunch.
That's a great idea, Cuba Brown. Thanks. Yes, we're going to take it. Thank you.
Yeah, I got it. It's on my little list. Politicians ever lie? 222. Mass immigration is destroying Canada. I don't think you would find an argument from either myself or Lise on that issue. Northern Lights gives $2 and says, Sheila, hardworking, funny, great communicator. Well, thank you so much.
Truth, Sheila Gunreed. That is the truth. Thank you, Northern Lights. You hit that right on the head.
I feel better after saying those weird things about David. That makes me feel better.
It almost erases it. It almost like erases the ickiness. No, that's a sweet compliment, Northern Lights. And you are absolutely right. Nobody works harder than Sheila Gunreed, and that is a true #1 fact. I've had the pleasure of watching her and trying to keep up with her. And the truth is, I need a nap after lunch while Sheila Gunreed starts her 3rd shift. So that's a sweet compliment. And
you know what? I will tell you, I've been poor. I've been a single mom, and the only way to fix those things, your bad choices or whatever life throws at you, is to just put your head down and work real hard. And that's your way out of most situations, either the ones you've made for yourself or that the world has leveled at your feet. Head down, work hard, and you'll find a way out. And so I just take that into every single day. So as I wake up in the morning and there's a mountain of work before me, I'm like, you know what? Head down, work hard.
No way but through it.
Exactly.
No way but through it. But yeah, no, it's true. And thanks so much for pumping her tires, Northern
Oh,
Lights.
thank you. Okay, we're way past when we should have ended, but that's okay because this was a fun show and it feels like it was only 15 minutes long. And I hope the viewers at home feel the same way. Lise, thanks so much. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good. Same place, same time, Canada. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, Olivia, Efron, everybody works behind the board to put the show together and organize the topics so that we can stay on a stream of consciousness. Thank you guys so much. We couldn't do it without you. Thanks to those of you who pitched in to keep the lights on, and to those of you who do the very free thing of just sharing the show with a friend you think needs to see it. And for those of you who comment, and you're not pitching in anything, those comments help us get higher up on the algorithms too, and it makes the platforms serve us up in front of more eyeballs, so it helps our reach. So that is the kind of help that money truly can't buy. So appreciate you for that. We'll see you tomorrow, and as my friend David Menzies always says, stay safe and stay sane.
Do you agree with me? It is time to make Canada great again. And that is why we at Rebel News have teamed up with MCGA Hats to introduce, well, the fashion sensation of 2025. Oh, and by the way, these beautiful hats, they are made in Canada. We don't rely on cheap imports coming over from China. So what are you waiting for, folks? Show your pride. This is the perfect thing for a patriot to wear, or maybe there's a patriot in your life that you would like to gift such a hat. Please go to mcgahats.ca. That's mcgahats.ca. Don't be shy about it. Wear this cap. Let everybody know you want to make Canada